What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Heel Deal. My name is Ben.
And I'm Zach.
And we have a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the women's basketball upset against number 1 ranked Notre Dame. We're going to talk about Kelly Bryant possibly transferring away from Mizzou after this academic scandal. We're going to go in depth into men's basketball, talk about the win against Georgia Tech and the upcoming games against Louisville and NC State. And then we'll spend a bit of time talking about the Super Bowl, keys to the game for both the Patriots and the Rams. So, Zach, first of all, what'd you see with the women's team this past weekend? The number 1 team, Notre Dame.
Well, I think it's a great win for them, Ben. And really, when you look at the two teams coming in, this is a complete and total mismatch in every way that you look at it. I mean, Notre Dame is coming in 19-1 with their only loss to UConn. And you know as well as I do that losing to UConn in women's basketball is not something that's uncommon. So them coming in, only lost to them, 6-0 in the ACC, and Heels coming in at just 11-9, getting this win at this point in the season, says a lot about how they could finish ACC play and what they could think about in the future.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I feel like UConn and the Mississippi State, those great women's basketball teams, almost have a monopoly on the entire league.
It really feels like it from time to time, and I would definitely have not anticipated the Heels dominating from the start the way they did.
Yeah, what went right for the women's basketball team to get that upset?
Well, for one, Paris Key was absolutely great. She had 30 points, 10 assists, was just dominating the whole game if you look at the highlights. And then other leaders including Stephanie Watts, Janelle Bailey, they both played great in double figures. And they just played a really complete basketball game Saturday.
No, that's awesome. Do you think our team is for real, or do you think that was kind of a fluky one-off?
I think time will tell, but I can tell you right now, if they play the way they did on Saturday, they're going to have a chance to beat some really good teams throughout the rest of ACC play and into March Madness.
Can't wait for that. But okay, then Kelly Bryant and Mizzou. I mean, we were just sitting in our English class when that news broke. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I know. I mean, imagine how he feels right now. I mean, after spending so much time, contemplating coming either here to UNC or to Missouri or Arkansas or wherever else he was considering. I'm not even sure. And now this comes out that a tutor was basically doing homework for athletes at Missouri, and that really, I feel bad for him, but it is what it is. He's going to have to assess the situation, figure out if it's worth it to him to stay there, not being able to play in the postseason, or if he feels a need to go somewhere else to maybe fulfill a dream to play in another college football playoff or at least a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about banning Mizzou from the postseason, that's like banning me from the Olympics or something. I don't think anyone was saying Mizzou was going to make the playoffs this coming season, but you never know. And I think the NCAA kind of has to pick their battles as far as academic scandals go after the messy situation with UNC.
Yeah, they definitely do, and it sucks that there is stuff like this going on and that it seems selective as to what schools get hit with it sometimes. Because I guarantee you, there's other schools out there that have tutors.
Helping there's
other
out. Schools out there probably paying their players.
Absolutely. I mean, you never know. So I mean, it coming down on him. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Ultimately, I don't think he'll end up transferring anywhere else because kind of like what you were alluding to, they're not really supposed to be a title contender anyway. I think that they were probably going to make a bowl for sure, and they might compete in the SEC, at least for a while. But I think Kelly at this point, he's just trying to make his best case for the NFL.
Trying to get his draft stock up
I definitely think so. I think if he was more concerned about winning a national championship or even having a 10 or 11 win season, he would not have left Clemson.
I mean, he would have stayed behind Trevor Lawrence.
Now that we've seen what Trevor can do, we know for sure he wouldn't get to play much. But I think now it's more about him getting a chance to market his brand, market himself, and get his draft stock up as high as he can so that he can make an impact in the NFL.
All right, moving on to men's basketball. So what did you see with the win versus Georgia Tech last weekend?
Well, we played really well from the start. I think looking at that game, it was about what everyone hoped for. I mean, Kobe came out, he was moving the ball up and down the court.
It's like that guy can't miss right now.
I know. I mean, it's ever since the season has started, he's set foot here, he's been nailing threes. And, I mean, you think back even the games when we've lost, he's been a bright spot. I mean, this guy is shooting unbelievably high percentages from beyond the arc and really everywhere on the court.
I mean, he's obviously outplaying Nasir Little right now, but talk to me about like their draft stock. Like, could you see a team taking say both players announce their intentions to enter the NBA draft? Could you see Kobe having a higher draft stock, or is Nasir Little's measurables just too attractive to an NBA team?
Well, I think both of their measurables are pretty attractive. I mean, Kobe, he's a 6'5" point guard, and those are like the most popular positions to look at for the NBA these days. But Nasir, he's got so much raw talent that is so obvious for everyone looking at him. I mean, it's almost like he's just out there and he doesn't really know really how to just let it go sometimes. I mean, I feel like when I'm watching him, I'm ready for him to just explode and have a 30-point game, and it seems sometimes like he's not comfortable doing that yet. But comparing both of them is tough because they're different positions. But I think both of them could definitely be high draft picks, especially if Kobe continues to score the way he is, and if Nasir keeps showing future promise just in his raw athletic ability and just his size, his demeanor, everything.
Yeah. No, hopefully they can keep it up. But just seeing like Nasir gaining confidence, that's nice. That Virginia Tech game when he drained 2 threes in a row, you could see him. Like at the end of the day, he's a college kid. Like his game is subject to like a lot of psychological variables. So like once he heats up and once he gets more confidence, like hopefully those 20+ point games will become more and more common.
Yeah, and I think just like what you said, a lot of it for him is just confidence now. I mean, he knows he can play. We know that he can play. But it's just about him letting go and feeling more comfortable driving the basket and stuff like that. But I think he definitely will continue to get better as the season goes on and be a big help for our team.
Yeah, and then this next week's a big one for the Tar Heels because we got Louisville and NC State. This big rematch against Louisville after we got our butts kicked at home a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you're not,
what keep talking about like what went wrong that game?
Well, a lot of things. There's really not.
You and I were both there for it. Like that was awful.
There's a longer list of things that went wrong for that game than there is for any other game this season. Because that game, for example, we shot 13.6% from 3. And I'm not 100% sure about this, but I would go out on a limb and say that's our lowest this season. We didn't really do anything well. I mean, remember being at that game, I remember them coming out and hitting a couple early threes. We had some early turnovers, and they never seemed to let off the gas. And we were playing from behind the whole time. They dominated us inside. They played really good defense on the post against Luke and Garrison. And they actually beat us in transition a lot and forced us to turn it over. And really we just never had a chance in that game. I mean, they were dominating from the start.
Yeah, it feels like once we start turning the ball over, Kobe gets a little antsy. That's when we start to fall apart. And that seems to happen against like good teams. And whether we can overcome it or not, like that's to be decided. Like I'm just afraid come March that's going to be an issue. We're going to start playing teams that don't turn the ball over.
You're exactly right. And that's one thing they're going to have to definitely improve on if we want to be a serious contender come March is not turning it over against these teams that have high caliber defenses. And Louisville definitely at least showed that in their first game against us, that they are going to get up in our face. They're going to make us make tough shots. And, of course, make it hard on us in other ways. Like, they're big. And, our bigs have struggled this year. And
is that how you beat UNC? Just really strong interior game?
Well, I think you have to at least have enough there to not let them out-rebound you to the point where you don't get any second-chance points. I think a lot of the reason why UNC has had so much success, at least under Roy Williams, is that we've always had bigs that just dominate the glass.
Yeah, but right now, like the guy who plays the 5 the most is Luke, and he's not a huge guy.
Yeah, Luke and Garrison both interchange at that position, and neither one of them are great shot blockers. They're not exquisite rebounders by any means. Garrison a lot of times ends up out at the top of the key. I mean, sometimes he's not even in position. It seems like.
Yeah.
They're definitely looking for that identity in the post.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that changes when Sterling Manley comes back?
I think it gives them more depth there.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any signs from him that makes me gung ho about him being just a great interior presence.
It just feels like he hasn't played this season. He's been out for so long.
Yeah, I don't even remember if he's been in an ACC game.
Mm-hmm.
His knee injury apparently is a lot worse than we first anticipated when it happened.
Yeah. But speaking of injuries, how do you think that injury to Leaky Black is going to impact the team? He wasn't getting too many minutes, but.
Well, first of all, I hope he comes back healthy and he doesn't try to come back too early.
Yeah, no, we still don't really know the extent of the injury, do we?
No, from what I understand, and of course this is just speculation, I don't know all the specifics of the injury or anything, but from what I understand, it's a high ankle sprain.
Okay.
And high ankle sprains vary in how long it takes for the person to get over it. For basketball, though, you have to be extremely cautious about that.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that it's not broken.
Yeah, thank goodness.
That's a big thing. It's because when I saw the replay, it scared me half to death that he had cracked his ankle, and I was like, man, this is a huge blow for him and the team. But
he's a big depth guy, right?
Yeah, he gives us a lot of depth at the point guard position. He's seventh and Kobe have kind of been. Interchangeable at that position. Obviously, Kobe's had the bulk of the minutes, and seventh has kind of come in there to alleviate him. But Leaky's given us some great minutes against some really good teams. I remember that Gonzaga game where he got out in the open court off a steal and just threw it down with two hands and sent the Smith Center into a frenzy. Mm-hmm. So he's a really high energy player, and I think he's going to improve a lot. He's got he's a 6'7" point guard, for God's sake. I mean, this guy he's an athlete. Yeah, and he's got great size.
Yeah. So what do you think the keys to the Louisville game is going to be? What do the Tar Heels need to do in order to not repeat that game at home?
Well, I think the first thing they need to do is get off to a fast start. Whenever you're playing on the road at a big arena like Louisville has, against a good team like Louisville has, they're going to come out very, very high energy. They're going to try to get in our face early. They're going to try to go on a big run early to get the crowd into it even more than they already will be. So they need to do something early to silence the crowd. And to me, that's not only having Kobe shoot from 20-some feet and knocking down
some NBA threes.
But it's figuring out a way to establish an inside presence. And that's going to come in where Luke and Garrison and hopefully Sterling, if he is playing. I'm not sure. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. But even if he's not, Garrison, Luke, other guys, Nasir, that have a presence inside, have got to make it known that Louisville's not going to be able to just force us to shoot threes all game.
Yeah, the thing in that first game is we would dribble down and then try and dish it inside to Luke. Luke would either fumble the ball away, the ball wouldn't get to him in the first place, or he'd back down and miss a hook. Like, it just seemed like it was not working. Is forcing the ball into the interior the way to go?
Well, it's definitely what Roy stresses to them a lot, and we can see that just by the way they play against whoever they're playing. But, it's about sustainable offense, and when you're on the road, you can't rely on hitting 15 threes. I mean, you can't rely on doing that at home, much less on the road against a really good team and a great environment that Louisville has.
Yeah.
So you have to find other ways to score that are a little bit more reliable than that.
Yeah.
And the number one way to do that is to attack the basket. Find ways to set screens, drive the basket, get it inside to our big guys, let them get rebounds, let them get second chance points. We can't get forced into a jump shot game here because, they're too good offensively and defensively. We won't be able to overcome that.
Yeah, because if we're not firing on all cylinders, that's when we get blown out. That's what we saw against Michigan. That's what we saw against Louisville. So just got to hope for that fast start.
Yeah.
Are you more worried about Louisville or are you more worried about NC State?
I would have to say right now, sitting here today, I would say Louisville will be a bigger threat to us.
I just feel like dropping both games in a home and home, that's just not good for confidence.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. But having State here, I think will be really big. We've already beat them there, and we've had tremendous success at PNC. The past, I think it's 5 or 6 years we've won straight at PNC, and they've had a little bit of success here. They did win last year here, but for the most part, we have dominated that series. And I think the environment here on Tuesday will be really good for the state game, and hopefully we can get a win there too. But I would definitely have to say, to answer your question, that Louisville would probably give me more concern right now, mostly because it's a road game. But the other reasons, is that we had no success against them the first time. I mean, they exposed us in ways that no other team has, even our other losses. So it'll be interesting to see if we can kind of get some stuff changed and turned around as we move into Saturday.
Yeah, no, we got to get these signature wins before March, but it's not going to get any easier. We got Virginia on the horizon, both games against Duke.
Yeah,
yikes.
I mean, we've got a tough schedule from here on out in the ACC. Luckily we do have Virginia at home. We have Duke at home once, always, and then, you're right. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, this is a gauntlet of a conference this year. I mean, it usually is, but I think this year even more so because you have Virginia Tech, who is a top 10 caliber offensive team this year. You have us like normal. You have Duke like normal. You have Virginia like normal. But there's a lot of teams that really could make some noise in the tournament. I think Miami is a team that could hit that level where they just explode. They've shown signs of that, but they just haven't gotten over the hump yet. Those are some examples of teams that we still have to play again. And, we're sitting here already at the end of January, so it's going to be tough from here on out.
Let's see. Okay, why don't we move on to the Super Bowls? First and last time we get to talk about NFL for a little while. So for any of you guys listening at home, Zach is a huge Patriots fan, so he's got some skin in the game. But we're going to try and keep it unbiased here. So, Zach, for the Patriots, what do you think is the key to them winning another Super Bowl? Giving Brady's how many rings?
It will be 6 if he wins this game. It'll be the 6th one for the team, and it'll be 6-1 for Tom. But you're right. Thank you for mentioning that I am a big Patriots fan. I will definitely be objective here in saying that I think the key for them is going to be that they are going to have to force Jared Goff to throw the ball down the field the whole game.
Yeah, put the game on Goff.
It needs to be up to him if the Patriots have their way. What the Patriots can't do from a defensive standpoint is allow the Rams to come out and run the ball with Gurley, Anderson, allow the play action to develop with Goff rolling out and hitting the tight end and the running backs in the flat, and just allowing them to hold the ball and slowly and methodically work their way down the field.
Yeah, because you started seeing that in the second half of the NFC Championship game. They just started marching down the field, and that could give the Patriots some fits. But on Goff, where do you think he stacks up among the NFL quarterbacks? Do you think he's top 15, top 10? You think he's a top 5 quarterback yet?
I certainly don't think he's a top 5 quarterback yet. I think maybe this year you could say he's in the top 10 category. Okay. I mean, heck, he's in the Super Bowl. And he played a large part in his team getting there. I mean, they've led the league in scoring all year. Since Sean McVay has taken over that team, they've been unstoppable on offense.
Yeah, and I mean, you could attribute Goff's success to McVay, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're a single team.
Yeah, I think they're equally happy to have each other. I think Sean McVay being there has helped Jared a lot. Because we saw that first year Jared Goff had Jeff Fisher as his head coach. That wasn't good. I mean, everybody was talking about how he was going to be a bust. And then now he's playing in the Super Bowl and got a great chance to win it. They have a immensely talented roster. When you look at this game, the Patriots aren't even close to as talented as the Rams are. So on paper, this is a pretty easy thing to look at. I mean, the Rams are loaded on both sides of the ball here with talent. But regarding your question about the Patriots' keys, I'll go back and say again that Goff has got to be the one to throw the ball down the field. They can't allow Gurley to get going. They can't allow Anderson to get going. They can't allow Goff to be comfortable throwing 5 or 10 yard passes to let him ease into the game.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make it obvious from the start. No, you're either going to throw it 20 or 30 yards down the field, or you're not going to throw it.
So what are you thinking, like bringing pressure?
I think they'll play a lot of one high safety, maybe a little bit of cover 0 as well, mix that in.
Mm-hmm.
Just anything to let them know from the start, if you're going to run the ball, you're going to have to do it, really, really well. Because we're not going to back off and play 2 high safeties and even some cover 3 and just let you run for 8 or 9 yards a pop.
Yeah.
The Rams would love for that to happen. So
yeah, they're a pretty big momentum team.
Yeah.
Especially with their running game. Once it gets going, it is really tough to stop.
Absolutely. And they've got probably what I think is the best running back in the league in Todd Gurley, although he has not played much the past couple games.
Yeah, he's not playing like the best running back.
I'm not really sure what that's about. I mean, I'm sure CJ is doing really good things for him. I mean, he's played really well, but I imagine there's going to be a lot more of a heavy dose of Todd Gurley in this game than what we've seen the past couple weeks.
So consider this, what if they've been resting Todd Gurley? So CJ Anderson a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm the freshest running back in the league, which is pretty big come the playoffs. You have a bell cow running back. By the time you've played 18 games, 19 games, they're exhausted. Their body's taking such a massive toll. What if they've been resting Gurley so they can unleash him on this game?
I think that would be a very smart thing to look back at in retrospect, because they got here with doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they had lost the NFC Championship game and then later we found out that they were resting Gurley, how would we react to that? We'd say, well, that wasn't very smart, was it?
No.
But the fact that they've gotten here doing that, if that is what they're doing, or even if they're resting him for a purpose of maybe there's a nagging injury there that they're not reporting, which is very possible, then it still looks really good on their part, knowing that was good and knowing that they could get here doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the road for them to get there was not an easy one.
Okay, but if you're Sean McVay, do you go with, or do you give the majority of the carries to Anderson, who's been more consistent in the postseason, or do you roll the dice with Gurley?
With this game, I think you have to consider who they're playing, and they're playing New England. Bill Belichick is notorious for finding your weakness and exploiting it, and also taking away what you do best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with them having 2 running backs really helps them in that regard, because the Patriots are looking at it and they're saying, we're not really sure what they're going to do about the running backs.
Yeah, and Gurley and Anderson are 2 fairly different running backs.
Very much so.
So I guess it's kind of a pick your poison with the Patriots. Do you prepare for the cannonball up the middle that is Anderson, or someone more shifty and faster in Gurley?
I think that's why it's very important for them to start off and make it known that the running is going to come hard. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys playing up towards the line of scrimmage. There won't be a lot of deep safety looks.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine the corners will be up in press coverage a lot.
Okay.
It will be a game. I think, how you watch games sometimes and there's one player out of the picture where you can't see him, but you just have to assume there's a safety over there.
Yeah.
I think we'll see everyone in the picture from the start.
Okay. So right up on the line of scrimmage.
There won't be many people too deep, at least to start with. They're going to want Jared Goff to prove to them that he can throw the ball 30 yards downfield against corners like Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Gilmore, what do you see him doing? Do you see him sticking him on Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, or do you see him kind of sticking to the side of the field?
I think it'll depend a little bit on that first. I think the first drive, when they come out, they'll have him move around a little bit, depending on what defense they're in.
Yeah.
But if Cooks comes out and is just torching whoever they have on him, whether that be Jonathan Jones or that be Jason McCourty, then they may have to make the switch and put Gilmore on him, because he is a lightning bolt of speed, Cooks is.
Yeah.
I think they would like to be able to keep him on Woods, but that may not be sustainable.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're not the Patriots podcast, give me the Rams' key to the game. How are the Rams going to come in here with a young quarterback, a young head coach, and win a Super Bowl?
I think they're going to have to rely on getting to Tom Brady with 4 people.
I mean, they do have like the best football player in the league on their defensive line.
That's exactly right. Aaron Donald is an absolute wrecking ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy is a just unbelievable player. I mean, he is in the backfield before the ball snaps. It seems
it's scary sometimes. He's like the Hulk. You can't like get him completely out of the game. You can only hope to contain him. You can only hope that he doesn't hurt you too bad because he's gonna hurt you.
Oh, he's going to hurt you, and I guarantee you he will have a sack in this game. I just hope, for the Patriots' standpoint, that it may not be more than one.
Yeah.
But he's a wrecking crew. The whole defensive line, though, outside of him, I mean, Ndamukong Suh and him right beside each other, an A and B gap is just a nightmare for offensive lines to think about. I mean, both of these guys are number one defensive tackles in the league, and they're on the same team. They also have good exterior pressure with Dante Fowler and Brockers. So if they can get to Brady with those four without ever having to worry about sending extra pressure, that is the key for them. Yeah. If they get into situations where they cannot get there with four, then they have to start sending extra people. That is what Tom thrives at. He always finds the open man after there's a blitzer.
Yeah.
But they need to get there with four people. And when you look at the history of Wade Phillips, who is a great defensive coordinator, maybe one of the best ever, playing against the Patriots, even when he was in Denver, they were able to get there with four if they won. And if they couldn't, they lost. It really is black. It's pretty black and white.
Yeah.
In that 2015 year, for example, they had Von Miller, they had DeMarcus Ware, they had Derek Wolfe, all those guys, and they got to Brady with four men and made it extremely hard for him to get the ball out.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how it goes, but give me a score prediction. What do you see happening on Sunday?
Well, I think that early, this will be a little bit of a first round of a boxing match. They'll be kind of feeling each other out. Both of these teams have great coordinators and great coaches that really want to kind of test the waters a little bit to see how it's going to. I don't think you're going to see a lot of any trick plays or anything early.
Yeah.
I think it'll be kind of feeling each other out. But I think the feel of this game to me is one that is very unusual for a Patriots game, where I still think, even though they're technically favored in this game, they feel like the underdog still. They've embraced this mentality ever since they lost to Pittsburgh when everyone wrote them off and Josh Gordon got kicked off the team and everything, where, okay, we're going to prove these people wrong that say we're done. This still has that feel of it to me. And the Rams are a more talented football team, but that doesn't mean better. And
it's a situational sport.
It's a situational sport. This is one game that comes down for everything.
Okay, give me the score.
All right. In essence, I think the Patriots will win this game 34-30.
All right, so moderately high scoring, close game.
Yeah, I think that both teams will score a decent amount, at least in the second half, and this will be a fourth quarter game that'll be decided by one of the defenses making a key play.
Yeah, I both agree and disagree with you. I think the Patriots are going to take it. I think there's just way too much experience, and I don't think what the Rams showed against the Saints was a convincingly elite team. I think they're fallible. Like they can be beaten, and I think we'd be stupid to distrust Belichick and Brady on this stage. So I think that it's actually going to be a lower scoring game. I have the Patriots winning 24-21.
And one last thought on that, Ben. You bring up a great point about the Rams not looking like a home run team right now. A lot of people don't even think they should be here, and they've had to answer questions about that all week. And you try to eliminate distractions, but you get annoyed with it. I mean, I know they're tired of hearing about we shouldn't be here, all that stuff. And even though that may motivate them, that they are there, it's still they're not completely locked in thinking about that because they know there's people out there that don't even think they should be here.
Yeah, it could be a distraction because it's a lot of these players' first trip to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But anyway, guys, that's all the time we have this week. So we'll probably be releasing a new episode, not this coming Monday, but next Monday, getting on our regular schedule. We want to start releasing episodes every Monday so we can talk about the past week of sports. But my name is Ben.
And again, I'm Zach.
And this has been The Heel Deal. Thank you, guys.